Anika, thank you very much. Let's get on with the business of the coffee chat. And joining me this morning, again, Heidi Jocks. Good morning, Heidi.
Morning. Your coffee was so good yesterday. I'm back today.
It's lovely. This is how we do. Jeffrey Stevens, good morning, sir. So let's start with this development bank loan that's been given to SAA. The front page of the Business Day, Heidi, says Development Bank comes to SAA's rescue. 3.5 billion rand loan ensures that the airline keeps flying and ends a frantic month-long search for funds.
Definitely, and this is more money that the airline was in need of. Remember, the lenders came through with 2 billion rand in December, and then government made a commitment to provide the additional 2 billion rand. But this loan amounts to 3.2 billion rand, if I'm not mistaken. 3.5 billion rand, and that is an additional 1.5 billion that essentially the airline is getting. But this is just a clear indication of how much money the airline is in need of. And as part of the business rescue process and the restructuring process and the business plan put forward by the business rescue practitioners, they are saying that we are in need of more money to restructure the business to make it a sustainable airline. Because in its current form, it is not sustainable, it is not working out. And as part of the rescue plan to rescue the airline, they are going to need additional money.
Make this clear for us, Heidi. 2 points. Firstly, does this 3.5 billion from DBSA sort of cancel out, or does it replace that 2 billion that was expected from government, given that it comes from an SOE? The DBSA falls under Ibrahim Patel's portfolio, which is the Minister of Economic Development. Then, explain to us what the DA is suggesting here, that this is merely a disguised taxpayer bailout by one SOE to another.
Well, firstly, the fact that this airline has been given money from the Development Bank just goes to show that National Treasury was struggling to find additional funding from other funders. National Treasury, in its current fiscus, does not have the money to be giving out to the airline. And this is most likely why it took so long for the Development Bank to actually say, we'll be giving that 3.5 billion rand. And that's why they had to pull in the Development Bank. Even in the statement by the business practitioners yesterday, they indicated as part of the business plan and the business rescue process, they will be seeking funding from other funders. So the Development Bank came to rescue the airline in this instance, but for how much longer? Speaking about the DA, they are basically pointing out a very good point to say that the mandate of the Development Bank is to develop and not to be saving a failed SOE.
Yeah, it's to fund development projects that are going to help in creating much-needed jobs. For example, the 10 million plus people that are out of employment right now, those are the kinds of projects that this bank should be giving money to.
And 3.5 billion rand is not small change. It's a large amount if you look at the projects that the Development Bank looks into and funds. But the DA points out something interesting and says that Minister of Economic Development, Ibrahim Patel, needs to answer as to what are the terms and conditions of this loan. Is it a loan? Is it a bailout? Is it a cash injection? Is it a guarantee? What are the terms of this loan? And we need to understand what is it in for the Development Bank. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how SAA is going to pay that money back. Are they going to even be able to pay that money back? And for how much longer are we going to constantly be seeing all these bailouts?
Yeah, that's important. It's a very important question to ask. Jeffrey Stevens, let's look at the front page of the Star newspaper, and the main headline there, Inside the Hospital of Death. And there's a sub-headline right underneath, and it says, Lack of care killed my baby. That's according to a grieving mom. What's the story about?
Look, it's a reflection on a mom that arrived at the hospital with a ruptured membrane. And without going into too much detail of what she was facing at the time, this refers to she arrived there on the 11th of July, 2018. and her baby at that stage was 10 weeks premature. What she was faced with inside the hospital is just harrowing if you read the article. And by the 26th of July, which was just over 2 weeks after arrival, sadly her baby died. And we've heard from the Gauteng Health MEC that particular year that 385 deaths occurred at this hospital alone due to mainly negligence. That was confirmed by MEC Bandile Masuku, saying that it's just not good enough. And for me, there are real concerns. We spoke of SAA. We all know that universally government departments and government practitioners are under pressure all the time to up their standards of delivery and that kind of thing. But this particular story, the numbers are way too high. What gets described as what patients get faced with when they arrive at these hospitals simply is just not good enough. And that needs to change.
I've got to ask this of you guys. If this is the state of service that the people get in our hospitals, this morning the Minister of Health is going to brief us alongside other ministers that are going to be tasked with the challenge of managing the coronavirus should it reach our shores. If you read stories like this, does that give you confidence that we will be able to handle a coronavirus that is rapidly getting out of hand in its country of origin, which is China?
It's truly concerning given the fact that there was actually a tweet I read last night where somebody said that they just came off a flight from China and no SAA staff, the cabin crew, were equipped. They had no masks, they had no gloves. It just appears as though there is no screening even when they go through, when they get off the airplane. And that was just an experience of one of the passengers that flew in from China. So that is a very big concern, because if you are not equipped at the airport where you have an influx of people coming in, and then you have the state of hospitals like this, it is truly, truly concerning.
And it's if you look at the hospital concerned, Rahima Musa Mother and Child Hospital, it's the meek and the mild. It's a specialized facility that supposedly will look after mothers and their children. And for them to suffer that standard or level of service is just truly mind-boggling.
Look, the Minister of Health will tell us at around 7, and our colleague Khaya Khumalo is there. We'll hear from the Minister just how prepared are we for the coronavirus should it come here. But let's not be alarmist about this. Jeffrey Stevens, talk to us about what's happening in the sports pages.
Yes, quickly, the main story on the Sports Day pages. 7-match point Fed believes in miracles. He started this match off with a bang, won the first set in no time, and then the second and third set was won by his opponent, Tennis Sangren. It was the matchup between two players that both have South